This is first. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to join you today. My name is Reese from Yes Supply. You probably already know. And today we have the amazing Moorea Seal with us. I'm gonna let her just tell you all about her life because she literally just started from the bottom. Now she's here. She has a retail store. She has 3 incredible books. Actually, last year, it's so funny. It's actually here because I brought it out. Last year, I got the 52 list book. And so it has all these really incredible lists that you can go through. And it just like, when people ask you like, what's your favorite movie? And you're like, I don't know. Now you have a list for it. So now you actually know all these things. But yeah, she has an incredible book called 52 List Project, and she just come out with a new book. So we're just going to ask her all about her life, how she started her business, how she grew it to what it is today, and all the ups and downs along the way to get to the success story that she is. So we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And do you want to share a little bit about you and your background and what it is that you're working on now?
Yeah. So I do a million different things. I could talk to you for like an hour about all the stuff that I have done leading up to now. But right now I live in Seattle. I own a storefront in Seattle, which is also my name. And then I have an online retail site called MooreaSeal.com. We have over 150 different handmade designers from across the U.S. And we donate 7% of all proceeds to nonprofits. And then I design my own jewelry, I design desktop products, and I'm an author. So I wrote 52 List Project in 2015, 52 Lists for Happiness in 2016, and Make Yourself at Home came out this fall, and I'm starting a new book in January.
That's amazing. What's your new book going to be about?
It's another journal, and it's focused on community, something that I've noticed. I've been with my husband for 7 years. So we've only been married for 2 years, but even just in that arch of a relationship, I've learned so much in like what it means to continue a relationship with the people that you love and being adaptable and changing over time, respecting each other. And then with society and the way politics have been in the US in the last year, it's been really volatile. It kind of just made me, when I write each of these books, I not only think about like what I need in my little personal world, but I also look out kind of across the US, across the world, and think like, what are we needing right now? And what I feel like we're really needing is we need positivity, for sure.
Yeah.
Kind of a negative space we're in. We really need things that bring us together and make us feel united, appreciate each other and our differences, and respect each other. So I hope that my next little journal can be something that really unifies people and makes them feel good.
That's exactly what we need right now. Beautiful. So at Yes Supply, we're all about like profiling amazing women like you and getting you to share how you created your own yes in life. So can you tell us a little about like how you got started, where you were in life, what motivated you to even get started building your business and your platform and your brand?
Yeah. I have been a little hustler since I was a little girl. My first dream job when I was 3, and I vividly remember like contemplating this, was I wanted to own an orphanage and save like every single child in the world. I believed I could do it.
Yeah.
My mom was an orphan. My mom, both her parents died when she was in high school, so she was alone at 17. And I've seen how her life's struggles and all that she's overcome, how that affected our family. I have depression, I have anxiety, so I have all these things that I was very aware of as a little girl of like the suffering in the world, and I just felt like I'm here to do something about it. There's fun things that I've always loved. I've always loved fashion and design and art, but at the same time I've always really cared about making some sort of difference. So from an early age, I just kind of knew like I'm gonna figure something out. I don't know what it is, but I'm creative and I'll do something. So I went to college and got a degree in art, specifically illustration. When in 2009 I graduated, and that was right during the recession. So everybody graduating from college at that time in the U.S., it was just kind of like, well, we're screwed. Like, what are we gonna do? But being a creative person, what I think I really learned the most in art school was creative thinking. because that comes before you make anything, whether it's a sculpture or a drawing or a painting. The thought process is what you're really taught to invest in first. So I think that gave me a better chance in figuring stuff out during a really hard time. So I started a blog in 2010, 2010. And back then blogs were something totally different than they are now. Now everybody's got a glamorous blog. Everybody's got a great camera. Everybody's got great fashion. But in 2009, it was scrappy. Yeah. So I started blogging, and I used it as a way to connect with people that were weird and kooky like me. I wanted to find community in that space. I was able to find lots of amazing women in that world. And then I was working as a nanny for a family of 5 in a 3-bedroom apartment, while also nannying full-time for another family. So I was nannying like 70 hours a week. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something more.
Yeah.
So I started teaching myself a little bit of coding and some design. And I started just designing my own blog and figuring it out, tweaking it, working with it. I started offering free design for my friends so I could kind of build up a clientele. Then I started offering graphic design freelance for people. I was a musician at the time, so I started doing graphic design for musicians that I knew. And I just was trying to figure out anything. I started doing illustrations of bloggers for their profiles on their blogs. And then I started teaching myself jewelry making and opened an Etsy shop. So by 2011, 2012-ish, I just was like hustling at anything that I could do.
I kind of like that because you didn't just wait until it was perfect or wait until you knew what you were going to do. You just took a whole bunch of inspired action. Like, that looks fun. Why don't I try that? Maybe I could be good at that. And then by just taking a step forward, even if you weren't quite sure if it was the right step, it seems like you did find the right step.
Definitely. Yeah. I just have what has always inspired me in life is anything creative, knowing that I can give back to someone else, and also just trusting that life is for learning.
Yes.
There's never really going to be a point at which I feel like I figured it all out. And I think that's what makes life interesting, is that there's always things to learn and there's always ways to grow. And to do all of those things at the same time, you have to like be willing to forgive yourself constantly if things aren't as good as you want. Like, so what? Deal with it. Something I was really taught as a child who was interested in art is that it's not going to be perfect until it's done, and then it might not even be perfect then, but it'll still be great. So just keep going and just keep trying, just keep pivoting and adapting, and that's just kind of how I built my career, which is pivoting, try something else, meet someone new.
I love that, and it's like, it's not about being perfect. I don't think there really is such thing as perfect, but you seem like you really just strive to, how can I help someone today? How can I make and it doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be positive. And then from your perspective, you might be like, oh, it's not perfect, but from the outside looking in, everything that you pulled together just looks so well put together, so inspiring. Like, your books are beautiful and your storefront looks beautiful. So you're a lot of times, especially as women, we're a lot harder on ourselves than we need to be. And yeah, from the outside looking in, you're doing a great job.
Oh yeah, I think I am definitely a perfectionist, and it drives me crazy because being a perfectionist, it means that literally nothing is actually going to be perfect, because you're always going to find something wrong or want to fix something or change something. I could say that like the only thing that has probably ever felt like the most perfect thing that I've done is probably my first book.
Yes.
Because, thank you. It was such a rare opportunity. I thought, like, if I only make one book, if this book just like totally bombs, it has to at least like make me happy and make me proud and feel like a true reflection of what I love and what I care about. So I invested. I mean, with everything that I do, I invest like my whole self into it, like way too much. But especially that book, I was like, this has to be, if this is going to be my one book, like it has to be all of these things and just done perfectly. And so, yeah, I think with most people's lives, like there's going to be like one or two things in your life that you were like, that was it. That was the one.
Love that. So that's really interesting, sort of segueing to another great question. How did you go from blogging to all of a sudden writing a book? Was that planned out? Did you get approached? Did you always want to do a book?
No plan, just hopes. Yeah, I had, by 2012 and 11, I was blogging, I was in a band, I was doing freelance graphic design, I was doing illustration, I was doing my Etsy shop, my jewelry was stocked in 40 stores worldwide. I worked as an artist assistant, I was nannying, and it kind of just hit a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to crack. Like, this is a lot of stuff. And I was hustling so hard to find community and find customers and create a career for myself. And then at the same time, Pinterest had just started up in about 2011, 2012. And I'd heard about it when it was in beta as a way for graphic designers to create inspiration boards for their clients. And I was like, oh, perfect, I need that. Yeah. So I started using it, and then I realized, like, oh, I'm poor. I can't afford a coffee. I just sit at my desk and cry and make stuff all day and just think, like, what am I doing with my life? Pinterest became this, like, escape that every night I just play on for, like, an hour or two and just pin a crap ton of stuff. And it just was, like, my happy place. And I didn't care about what anybody else thought. This was my one space for me. And one day in 2012, I had a sponsor for my blog, and they were like, what are your stats on your social channels? I was like, oh, I have like 3,000 on my blog, I have 2,000 on Twitter, and then I went to Pinterest and it said 250,000. Ooh. I was like, that's for sure a glitch. That's something wrong with that. So I was able to email Pinterest at the time because they were still pretty small. I was like, this is a glitch. I should probably have like 2,000, not like 250,000. And they're like, no, you do have 250,000 followers.
Wow, so, amazing.
At that point, I was like the most followed person on Pinterest. And then over the next couple of years, I was in the top 5 most followed people on Pinterest. And I have almost 1 million followers on there. And it was just organic, which is so annoying because people are always like, how did you do it? I'm like, I don't know.
I think you answered it, though. You put your heart and soul into it, and you did it for you, right? Like, I think obviously you always want to be there to support your clients and customers and do what's right for them. But I think when you're doing something that's for you, it's your happy place. You make it pretty or just like the dream because it's your dream. I think people are naturally just drawn to that energy. So, and it's even better than like kind of like faking it to appeal to just a client.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So because of that,
I've used Pinterest for my blog, and I get a lot of my clients on Pinterest, and Pinterest is a great traffic driver. So I can only imagine your traffic with 1 million followers on Pinterest.
That's the main reason then why in 2013 I decided to go outside of Etsy and start my online site. I thought, okay, well, there's all these people who like what I like and are following me organically and authentically, and I haven't like gone out and tried to get followers in this space. Yeah. Me, so I should start a website that just stocks all the stuff that I'm pinning already.
Exactly.
So, that's when I partnered with my business partner, who's also my cousin, and one of my best friends, Jeanette, who's our operations manager. We started the online site in 2013. And then by the end of 2013, within about 6 months, we were too small for the tiny little space we started in. At the time, I was an artist in resident at a community center here in Seattle. Yeah. So I was just working in this tiny little room that used to be like a children's playroom. So there were like kids awnings all over the walls.
Yeah.
And that's where we started our website, just this tiny little space. Then 6 months later, we moved into a new, a little storefront just to test how retail could go in Seattle. We used half of it as the office and kind of blocked it off. And then just use a tiny, like 500 square foot space as a storefront. And that did well. So then 6 months after that, we cut a giant hole in the wall, moved our offices into a big 1,700 square foot space. The storefront became about 1,000 square feet.
Wow. And then, growing like crazy.
Just growing and growing and growing. And then we just moved into our current location 2 months ago.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And filled out? Yeah.
That is so cool. And I love how it just happened organically, and it happened from you just being like, I need a space to be sane, like a sane person, and just do something for me instead of my clients. And that's how you grew your Pinterest, and that's how you know, sort of broke off into all those other things. So a lot of the women in my community, and also myself, we're creatives. And it sounds like you're very much the same way, where you get excited about an idea and then you're like, okay, let me just start it right now, right? Like you have so many different things that you want to do. So when you have that passion about, you know, taking your ideas and putting them into the real world, and probably that impatience too of getting things done, how do you balance all of the things that you currently have on the go right now, and make sure that you're doing a good job at all of them while still, you know, being a human?
Yeah, it is hard. I got careers. It's really, really hard. There's just kind of been points in which I've had to really like think for a second and decide, like, what am I actually capable of? I am just a human, just like everybody else. I'm just trying to get by in life. I'm just trying to sustain myself while do stuff that I care about. I think that's like at the root of most everybody's like hunger is I just want to like be alive, feel well, and enjoy what I do. But as a creative woman, I think we can also like crazy push ourselves into anxiety and feeling extremely overwhelmed, and like there's either too much of a good thing or trying to do the thing you care about is like completely draining you, and then it's not good. So there was a point in about 2013, which is when I started the 52 List Project as a series on my blog, where I just felt like I was cracking. Like I am doing everything that I possibly can to try and achieve this weird balance of sustaining myself and being creative, and it's not enough, and it's too much all at the same time. Yeah. I just did so many jobs that I had to have a discussion with myself of like, I am still a valuable person, even if I'm not doing this or that or this or that. I always, like, the way that I got validation as a really shy girl growing up was, she's Moorea who draws, Moorea who's artistic, Moorea who's creative, Moorea who makes stuff. So I was defined myself as Moorea who does X and Y. So letting go of doing everything made me feel like I was letting go of myself, and I was afraid that I would be a lesser person. But
well, it's so easy to tie like your self-worth or value to like like how much money is in your bank account, or how like cool people think you are, or how much you've accomplished, or if you're dating someone. And then it's like, it sounds like you reminded yourself that you're just valuable just because you're human, like just because you're valuable. It doesn't have to be a why.
Totally. I think that, I mean, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in the US, there's such extreme stereotypes of like what a woman should be versus what a man should be. And for generations, it's been a woman needs to be perfect within her home and take care of her children and tend to the house and do it all perfectly and stretch herself. And I always felt like that was very, at least for my personality, that was not what I wanted to do. And there's nothing wrong with wanting doing those things, but it wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. But then I took that militant, like I have to do it all, into the world of creativity. It's such like a woman, a powerful inside woman thing to be like, I'm going to do everything hard. I'm going to do it fully. I'm going to do it all the way. I'm going to do it best. It's like, whether it's home or work, we're hustlers. We all are. But I just came to a point where I realized, okay, I can let some stuff go and trust that if I just let it go for now, maybe it'll come back later. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of people and women to like just let something go for a second, even if you love it. Like just because you're good at something, it doesn't mean you have to do it. That's what I realized about illustration was like, yes, I am good at drawing and I have been a drawer my whole life, but I also feel like I'm going crazy and I don't like doing it right now. So I need to take a break. And it's okay to take those breaks. At the same time, that's when I started writing 52 lists as a project on my blog, because I realized I need a space where I can see myself, because I'm getting so lost in all of this stuff that I'm trying to do and feeling like it's not fulfilling me. I need a space just to like stop and look and see exactly who I am and what I care about. I just need to get back to the core of who I am and feel well. So that's how 52 lists started. It was mostly for me. But I wanted to share it because I thought if I struggle with depression, if I struggle with anxiety, I have ADD. I know there are lots of other women out there who are dealing with the same things. And they're probably feeling like they can't talk about it either. Screw that. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to create a safe space for all of us and create a resource for all of us to feel well and get to know ourselves.
Yeah, I love that 100%. And I definitely went through that struggle as well of dealing with something on my own and assuming that I was the only person who felt that way, or I was a bad person who was happening to me. And then once you just kind of push through that fear and find the bravery to talk about it, then you find so many people are like, wow, thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you for being real. Like, I've been struggling with it. I don't know how to deal with it. And then when they see someone like you who's like, yeah, I'm dealing with it. I know how hard it can be, but I'm surviving. It gives people that little bit of hope that they can do the same thing. Like, it's not the end of the world. There are tools, there's resources, there's other people to help you get out on the other side, a better person. And I think too, for those of us who've gone through something that's really tough, it always makes us stronger after, right? I think when you help people because of it, then it doesn't all happen for nothing. It happens so that you can sort of be a light for other people.
Definitely.
100%.
That's what I hope.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job at it. So yeah, don't hope it. You're already doing it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious. So what was the process then of going from your 52 lists of your blog to it actually being a book, and then it's sold in bookstores like all over the world? Like, I bought this even before, like I saw the book in bookstores and I was like, ooh, I like the gold foil on the front. I was really into it. So it's being sold in Canada for sure. It's probably being sold worldwide. So what was the whole process of that?
Yeah, it's been a wild journey. So I never expected to write a book in my life. Now I've written 3 books in 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
Never ever thought that. I never viewed myself as a writer. Though my family's all about writing and they love books, I just felt like, oh, I'm the art one. I'm the artsy one. I make stuff. I'm not smart enough for writing but just by naturally putting something out into the world that I was passionate about, it happened. I mean, I wrote like 10 times a week on my blog. I think it's in me that I actually am a writer. I just wanted to deny that of myself.
Isn't it so hard for us to just admit what we actually are?
Yeah. Like, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not good enough for that. Yeah.
A lot of times, like, I'm an aspiring blogger. I'm an aspiring. It's like, you already did it. So
you did it. You're in it. You're a book. Congratulations, you're here.
Yeah. Exactly.
But so I had just been putting it out there. I've been giving people the opportunity to like link up their blog posts when they did each list each week. And I was just putting lists out on the web for free and doing beautiful photography. And then it went kind of viral through Pinterest and through blogs. I think because it was just like there at the time, the blogging world was much more focused on like crafts. And I think I just wanted to like get some emotion out there. Like, let's talk about something. And I think that authentic like pursuit resonated with a lot of people. So in 2014, I was working in my store, and my now editor from my publisher came into the store and was like, "Hey, I'm Hannah from Sasquatch Books." I'm like, "Oh, nice to meet you." Mm-hmm. She was like, "You ever thought about writing a book? I really love your blog." And I was like, I mean, that sounds fun, but I don't know when I'm ever going to get the chance to write a book. And she's like, "Well, I emailed you, and we'd love for you to write a book." I was like, "What?"
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, so they, Sasquatch, like this doesn't happen very often. Sasquatch Books is a small publishing house here in Seattle, and they only publish local authors. So they had just kind of been on the hunt for some new voices in the Seattle area and found my blog. So I started chatting with them. And usually if you work with a tiny little excuse me, publishing house, you know, our expectation wasn't that my book was going to take off as much as it did. I just was like, they're giving me this chance to write this book. I'm going to give it a go. I'm just going to make it exactly what I want. And they were really supportive of me. Usually when you work with, I have a couple other friends who've written blog or books, like the Girls from a Beautiful Mess and Justine and Blake and Lee. So they gave me advice on this whole process because I had no idea what I was going to. This was never a plan of mine. But I kind of researched what it's like working with big publishers, small publishers. With big publishers, often you can, if any of you watching are interested in writing a book, if you work with a bigger publisher, you might get a lot more money up front, but then they're not going to have as many people on their team who are going to focus on just your book. They're working with tons of people. They're working with enormous authors. Like, you're going to be a small fish in a big pond. So I thought, okay, working with a small publisher, I think they're going to appreciate my voice more. They're going to listen to me more. They let me art direct the whole book. I was there and participated in styling all the photo shoots, and my opinion mattered a lot more. And something that is an honest, annoying truth about books right now is that if you're a new up-and-coming author, you need to get your writing out into the world before you just start pitching books, because any editor is going to need evidence that people are interested in what you're talking about and that you have practice. So blogging is a really awesome way, I think, to get you down that avenue of ever writing a book. Like, talk about what you care about. Be true to your voice. Don't just write about exactly what everybody else is writing about, because it's just more fluff and the same story over and over again. Talk from your perspective. Talk about what you need and what you want to give to the world. So they had approached me. We worked on the book, hustled. I was really nervous. They were like, yeah, keep hustling, keep trying. No, don't go crazy. Stop crying. Yeah. They were like, okay, well, we're hoping for it to do well. We're going to print 5,000 copies for the first round. So when it talks about like reprints in a book, it's like the publisher will print X amount, expecting to sell that much in X amount of time, and then if it does well, they'll produce more. So they just produced 5,000, and the day that the book came out, Anthropology picked it up, Urban Outfitters picked it up, Paper Source picked it up, and then the next month, Barnes & Noble picked it up, and they needed to reprint fast. So
yeah, you're like, we need more than 5,000.
Yeah, we need more than, yes!
Amazing, that's so cool. Congrats. Yeah. So your new book is out. Do you want to tell us about, and it kind of lines up with Karina's question, how do you find the inspiration for your books and book titles? So do you want to tell us about your new book? I saw it, it's really beautiful, the imagery is beautiful. What's it all about, and how did you find the inspiration for it?
Yeah, this book is definitely a departure from the first two books that are focused on journals, and obviously my inspiration is, at least I think, obviously my inspiration is mental health and creativity and beauty. I wanted to create books that are not only great content, but are something that are beautiful, that when you put it down on a table, you want to touch it, because that's what's going to motivate you to engage with it. And so that kind of influenced this book. When I first pitched 52 List Project, I kind of had like a million ideas. So they're like, maybe you should do 2 books, because you have a lot of ideas that are like probably too much for one book. So Make Yourself at Home is something I've been thinking about for quite some time. Being someone who has moved, like, I don't even know at this point, at least 8 times in the last 12 years, sometimes like 2 to 3 times a year. When I enter a space that is new to me, that is supposedly mine, and it doesn't feel like me, I just like feel so anxious and I feel so out of place. Like I literally feel uncomfortable in my body because I just feel like I don't see myself anywhere.
Yeah.
Just cool. So this book, Make Yourself at Home, the title is something that I worked with my editor on for a while because I wanted something that implied more than just this is a decorating book. Make Yourself at Home is not only like, let's talk about styling your space, but let's talk about feeling well in yourself and how your space influences that. So I had one criticism about my book, like a negative review on Amazon that I read, that the criticism was like exactly correct, but it was not a criticism to me. It was like he just did it the right way. He was like, this is a self-help book hidden inside of a home decor book. And I was like, exactly.
Yeah, you're like, you know, yeah. What's the issue here? Like, this is 5 stars, not 1 star. What do you mean?
That's it. Exactly. Self-help and self-decor. So
they let you open up the book before you purchase.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
Like read the subtitle. I don't know.
Hopefully he's watching, and then he'll be like, "Oh, I get it
now." Yeah. So each of the sections are broken up into different areas of the home, and I'm very contemplative, so I thought a long time about how do I want to splice up this book, and I wanted to do by section because I think different areas of your home represent different experiences for you. The living room is the first place that people come in and kind of get a first taste of who you are. It's like the way my dad always told me, like, even the plainest person is wearing a costume. When how you like put on an outfit is your costume. It is your presentation. It's I'm presenting myself as very casual and relaxed, or I'm sophisticated and funky, or whatever. They're the same way. So I wanted in the living room really talk about this is where you're first telling the story of who you are and what are not just like the fun, pretty things, but what are the things that kind of tell a story about you? What are the books that represent who you are? What are the objects that have meaning to you and tell you about your history and your family? And then from there, going all the way into like the bedroom is about intimacy and privacy. What about your space can be decorated to then share that story of revealing your truest self, and either that's who you are alone or who you are with somebody else. So It's all about styling and intuition and the personal connection of what it means to decorate your home.
Yeah, and I love how you mix that together. Like, I love how you mix beautiful pictures, beautiful inspiration, so you could almost just look through it as like a beautiful picture book, but then when you actually read through, it really ties into like your emotions and how like who you are as a person really helps you set the stage for where you live. It is so important to tie the two together.
Totally.
Amazing.
Glad you got that.
Pardon?
I'm glad you got that out of it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely gorgeous. So with Guest Supply, one thing that we really want to share with women who have achieved as much success as you are is also not all the glossy stuff, but also some of the hardships. So is there anyone along your journey who told you no, or any obstacles that you had to face that you figured out how to overcome them?
All the time. Like, and it doesn't stop. Like, it's probably only going to increase. Something that I read somewhere was like, or maybe it wasn't, maybe I just like made it up in my brain. So I was like, this has to be true. Is that like when you're learning stuff, it means that you're just going to get more and more challenged. If you're doing well and everything's just fine, like that's kind of stagnancy. But if you're being challenged, it means that you're growing. It means that you're learning. So I'm always being challenged. I'm always learning. I'm always being told no. And I just have to keep doing stuff. Like some kind of key times were, I mean, as a kid, my family didn't have like a ton of money. So like there's a lot of things I wanted to do, but we couldn't afford it. So it wasn't out of like meanness that parents said no, they just like couldn't afford it. So that gave me the drive to like, well, if I can't do it, then I need to do it. How am I going to figure out a way to do it? Like guitar was one. I taught myself guitar when I was 15, and I just like desperate because I couldn't have a guitar. Then I had to get a guitar. I had to find a way.
Yeah.
There was in like my career journey when I was doing like a million different jobs. I had a roommate, and my desk was just set up in the living room, and she would constantly critique me and tell me like that I wasn't really going anywhere and that
those are the worst people.
Yeah, it wasn't healthy. She just kind of like constantly nitpicking and critiquing and telling me like I've reached my max. I can't go any farther. So that was like, I really had to, like I cried a lot. I was very isolated. I was very lonely. And I was telling myself like, is this even worth it? Is all the stress trying to figure this out even worth it? But I just decided for myself, if like you can critique me all you want, and I'm probably going to let it in because I'm sensitive, but I have to always decide like, this is worth it to me. Like, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. I still believe in myself, and I'm still going to make something happen.
Yeah, and no one else can decide your value of you except you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's so awesome. So we have a question from Vanessa. She's a member of our collective, and she's asking, like, your beautiful storefront. I haven't in Seattle, unfortunately, but even just checking it out online, you get such a great feel of the experience when you're in there. So Vanessa was asking, what was the biggest challenge for creating your beautiful storefront, and how did you go from the idea to making it happen?
Woo, it was crazy. It was crazy. Insanity. So, I mean, probably the hardest thing I would say is finances. Like, we are a small self-funded company. We don't have huge investors. That's something that probably farther down the line in our growth we'll probably have to assess. But for now, we're just scrapping things together, reinvesting constantly. So finances were probably the hardest thing of being like, okay, can we make this work? Is it going to be successful? This is going to cost a lot of money. It's our first storefront. I literally built a fair amount of the pieces, and then some of my friends who are carpenter built a bunch of the pieces. Very affordable and scrappy. But this space, we really wanted to create something that had impact and that felt like our first space was like the teenager who was just kind of like figuring herself out. And it was like, now we're in our early 20s and we're really thriving and we totally get ourselves.
As it progresses through the years.
Yeah. Just reinvesting. And that also means just a shit ton of sacrifice.
Yeah.
That means I still drive my grandma's car. I still live in a little tiny apartment. I still have to live on a very tight budget. All the people on our staff are giving their all, and I'm doing plenty of work, extra hours after work. It's a lot of sacrifice, but I still feel like it's worth it. Like I've been in this hustle for 8 years. I'm 31, which feels like and is literally almost a third of my life.
Yeah.
I might be going crazy, but I still like it.
No, even on days where it's really hard, really long days, I'm like, I'd rather be working really hard and doing something that is something I truly believe in and the impact I want to make than working for someone else and clocking 5 p.m. every day. And you're creating such a legacy, and especially the fact that you're combining, beautiful design and craftsmanship with mental health and empowering women and showing people what's possible. I think it's totally worth it. So thank you for putting in the long hours. We all just admire so much what you're doing.
I think all the ladies get it.
Yeah.
Something I think about is like, no matter, and I think about this is the same with relationships. Like when my husband and I first started dating, I kind of came to a realization of like, you know what? Relationships really just come down to like being honest about what we suck at and accepting that the other person sucks at something, and I'll be okay with it. Like, that's all. It's just accept the things that are going to be frustrating, because things will always be frustrating.
Yes.
It was for business. Like, there is no shining perfect point where suddenly you don't have to deal with hard stuff.
Totally.
Or that things won't be really frustrating or difficult.
Yeah.
Usually those things are just going to get bigger as the great things grow, so will the difficult things. Mm-hmm. So I try and think of like when I'm having a really hard day, I'm like, oh my God, it would just be so much easier to work in a coffee shop right now. But then I like reflect back to, I worked in a coffee shop for 2 years when I was younger. And I put myself in that headspace and I think like, when I was in that headspace, what also frustrated me in that moment. In that moment, it was like, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I don't feel like my time is valuable. I don't feel valued. I'm not doing anything creative. And all of the stuff that I was craving then, I am doing now.
Yes.
So where I'm at's good.
Like spreading those gratitude lists, right? And just being grateful for the struggles that you have, right? Yeah. Me and my fiance, we always, if we have to do something we don't feel like doing, we say, we get to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Because sure. Again, you worked in a coffee shop, right? I used to work in a coffee shop too. I wouldn't get to do all the things that we get to do. So yeah. I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that it's not all glossy and yellow brick road. As soon as you open your retail store, you get a published book. Like there's still always going to be ups and downs, and that's incredible that you've done it all, even with an investor. So it's huge.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So we've got some really great feedback from people who are watching. Like Cherise saying, "Oh my God, I have those same people in my life." Like they totally relate to you, and it's so awesome because a lot of the women my community are starting out, so it's great to see that you're experiencing a lot of the same things, or you have experienced a lot of the same things. Is there any last piece of wisdom or advice or something that you want to share with us?
What is the last thing I could say? So much to say. I mean, I would say that basically whatever you dream of, you have to trust that you are prepared for it. It's just the same as like I for myself often think like, oh my God, I am never going to be ready for children. But who is ready for children? The same thing goes for any of your goals or any of your dreams. Just because like I've never taken a class in business.
Yeah.
I did not have a degree in writing. Yeah. This is all just like scrappy. I've put it all together, and it's because of great community and staying positive and staying hopeful and believing in myself. You kind of just have to trust and believe that whatever you want to do, if you are hungry enough, you're going to figure it out. And it's okay. And it's okay if it's not by the books. It's okay if you don't have experience. Just trust that what you have learned in any arena of your life, any hardship that you've been through has taught you something, and you will find a way to apply it to whatever you're doing. And whatever you suck at, just be in community. Find people who are good at what you suck at. Because I can honestly say I suck at lots of things. I'm so great at a lot of things. So if I can continue to find people to work with who are great at what they do and I'm good at what I do and we can work together, that makes it so much easier. So much better to share in community than to have to figure this all out alone.
I love that. I love that so much. And like I'm making a note to myself, I need to make friends with some carpenters just in case. Someone who's really handy. Always good to have a carpenter around. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think a big theme too is taking that inspired action, doing what you love, what feels good to you, and creating what you just listed, and mixing that in with quite a bit of hustle. So it's so awesome to see that you started, just with a blog, something you're passionate about, and now you have an incredible store, and 3 internationally sold books, 1 brand new book. Do you want to share a little bit of info on your new book, where people can find it, and then also where people can find you online on all your pages?
Yes. Yeah, so you can find me all over the web. I'm on Instagram at Moorea Seal, and then my blog. Well, I don't really post my blog. Ignore the blog. Or if you want to like do some deep diving, I'm even on MySpace. But the main places to focus are Instagram, my website, mooreaseal.com, where we have a store and lots of fun stuff for you to explore. I have a storefront here in Seattle on First Ave in downtown Seattle. And then I'm very lucky. My books are not only in my store, but in over 500 stores worldwide. Yeah, insane. Books are translated into 7 different languages. So you can even find them like in Turkish and Korean. It's amazing.
That's so wild.
And I really encourage people, you can definitely buy them at bigger stores, Barnes & Noble, Anthropologie, Urban Outfitters, tons of places, but there's so many small businesses that stock my books too, small bookshops, small boutiques. So go try and hunt your favorite local stores and see if you can find my book, or buy it from me.
#shop local.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It was so lovely to have you on here sharing your story. You're 100% such a yes muse. We're all very inspired for you. So thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck in everything that you do in the future.
Thank you so much. It's good chatting with you. Bye.